Hello, welcome to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transits. Today we're viewing the astrology from February 22nd through February 28th. And we're your host, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaleigh.
So welcome back. The last week of February is here. And yeah, I mean, it's still big. It's still a big, this has been a big month.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is just gone exact, and that's still a big play. But we do get, again, these random little gifts that pop up, starting with the 22nd on the Sunday is Venus is going to trine Jupiter here, and they're going to be in this nice little conversation with each other, sort of kind of like I really do like this aspect because I just think that it doesn't really get any better where you have Venus exalted and Jupiter exalted and then
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter ruling Venus. Like it is quite a wonderful sort of interaction and like just work together today. And like, I think in the midst of everything that is happening, that is going on in your life, that maybe the eclipse brought up, or that maybe the Saturn Neptune is like confusing and like making sort of a challenge, there is still something that you can be grateful for. Like, there's still something that is sweet, that is connective, that is giving you some gifts or just giving you a moment of like love and appreciation that maybe you know, it's small because sometimes I think Venus does just give you little things, but it's like this is helpful in the grand scheme of things to know that I have this, so to know that I have this person or this connection with someone else. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's also nice here is like the moon is in Taurus, so it's like I think it's gonna feel really sweet, and I think we do kind of get a chance to exhale with this transit. And I think what's also nice about this transit is I do feel like it's gonna linger for a couple days because it's like we have this transit on the 22nd on Sunday, and then we don't have another major transit until the 26th. So we have like a couple of days where we're just like having moon stuff going on. So I think we will kind of get to like feel this for like, a day or two or three, as one of like the bigger significators like of the week. Yeah, which I do think is nice, especially because, we're coming off of the week prior where we had that eclipse, we had the Saturn Neptune conjunction. And, that eclipse was probably super destabilizing and just like shook up a lot of things in our life. So I think, we do kind of deserve some type of like divine justice, like just a little bit of like space to like appreciate life.
yeah, I know because it is like we are in the thick of eclipse season for sure. Like during this transit or this week is definitely like the halfway point in between eclipses, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it is like eclipse season is really like a whole month of just like things being like kind of chaotic and not consistent and not like stabilized. And then there is this middle of this week where Venus and Jupiter are making a trine and the moon's exalted in Taurus, and you're like, okay, like, but this is okay. Like, this part's so fine, or like
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's also just sort of acceptance of like honoring your emotions or honoring your feelings that are coming up and just like giving that space to um yeah, I really like it. So hopefully it will kind of give us a nice start for this week in terms of like just going slow. Like I don't think these planets are gonna ask you to do anything really that's aggressive or hard, to just go slow, but to just like take care of your body, to be with people that you love, to eat good food, the things that are comforting.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think it's definitely a nice start to our week ahead. Do you want to say anything else about this one?
No, we can move forward.
Okay, sorry, I just got to change or we're going to bump a month ahead. So the next thing we have is Mercury stationing retrograde. Let me clear these out of here in the sign of Pisces. So Mercury entered its shadow period the 11th. So it's already been slowing down significantly and it officially goes retrograde at 22 degrees of Pisces on Thursday. Just with like a retrograde Mercury, just expect things. This is like with all Mercury retrograde periods, but just expect communication to be a little bit more difficult or a little bit unclear. We're probably reviewing something in the Pisces house of our life, especially as it maybe pertains to communication or documents or something to do with like messages and information in some way. So, like for example, for me, Pisces is in my 11th house, so it could be like a review of things that I said to my friends. Maybe it has something to do with like my community, or even reviewing things in like the online space, because 11th house can really represent like social media and things like this. Or maybe, I reflect on like what I've been doing online, something like this. Yeah, so it's like a big reflection period. Um, yeah. What do you think, Maddie?
Yeah, I think so. This is a messy Mercury retrograde. I mean, we've definitely had some before in Pisces, but I can't remember off the top of my head like when the last one was. But I do remember
Hmm.
it just being like, it wasn't even like the clear message was ever even really said to begin with. And then like it gets further distorted. So like, you have heard something or there was some plan in place going forward in your life, and then that message wasn't even really clear. It was just like, oh, well, we have this vision together, we could create this or we could talk about this. And you're like, yes, let's just keep building onto that. Never really solid, right? There was never a concrete Virgo detail-oriented plan into like, this is what we're gonna do. And then Mercury goes and stations retrograde, and then it just gets even more confusing and even more like soupy and like, well, maybe we should also try this. And like the whole like idea just kind of disappears into this abyss.
Hmm.
Like I just feel like it's a lot of like confusing communication. But at the same time, I am speaking that from like a reference point of all our previous Mercury retrogrades in Pisces have been like with Neptune. And this time we don't actually have Neptune here. So I do wonder maybe it won't be as that bad, but I do think the Pisces element of like, Pisces tends to really be so non-judgmental to the point can really see everything. Like losing that discernment with Mercury is probably what's going to happen, where you're just like, your plan could go any five directions because now you're like, well, all of this could work or all of this could be redone. It's just it's not clear in terms of any detail-oriented contractual obligation discussions or planning.
Yeah, for sure. I think like Pisces is a very much like go with the flow sign. And like you
Yeah.
mentioned, every previous time we've had Mercury and Pisces, we've either had Saturn or Neptune
Mm,
there, or Saturn and Neptune there.
right.
Um, so before maybe Pisces felt like a bit more directional with Saturn there too. So at
Hmm.
this time, like you mentioned, we could have like all these possibilities, and we're not really sure which direction the flow is going in. It's like I'm supposed to go with the flow, but which way is that? Because
Right.
yeah, it seems like it could be over here, but it could also be over there, and yeah, you're not entirely sure. So yeah, it's kind like you mentioned, it's kind of creating this like Pisces confusion. It reminds me of those like those like white and black spirals that just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of that, where you're like, whoa, and you didn't like really realize you were looking at it too long, and now you're all dizzy. Like it's just like you've almost like made yourself dizzy thinking about like all the different possibilities without like,
For,
yeah, any
yeah.
clarity about where to go. Yeah.
Which is like, it's funny because it's like, this would be a terrible Mercury for like doing your taxes, but like, this is now tax season and Mercury doesn't leave Pisces until like tax day. So, like, and like, I feel like a lot of people also feel that we're like, well, why should I even bother with this shit when like the government is this way? And, like, oh, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, I can like manipulate it then because nobody's really caring, or, just like that whole circumventing all these situations, you know? And
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
yeah, it just that will be really interesting and that sucks. But the way that you could work with this then is to like, lean into the more Pisces thing. So like if you are artistic and you write poems or you just write in general, or if you sing or if you I don't know, have spiritual beliefs or spiritual practices, like Mercury retrograde could be a good time to like maybe revisit them or maybe like pull some old practices out of the book or to like change them up a bit, because this is really whimsical thinking. So like leaning into that space and using it for that will feel better than trying to calculate your tax owed.
Yeah, I think like, I think we tend to like societally like associate reviewing and like going with the past. It's like something bad or negative, but like it's not always. Like sometimes we do have things that we used to do previously
Mm.
that could have like, a positive impact on our life. So I think yeah, like you said, if we do like revisit like something we've written or something we've created, there could actually be some like really good pieces in there that we totally forgot about. Um, but yeah, you also mentioned tax season, and as for taxes, if you do end up doing them, you'll probably end up having to fix them. So
Yeah.
yeah, just like be aware. I would probably wait till Mercury is out of um retrograde, at least, at the very least. Yeah.
Yeah, sometime in March. Maybe it still would be messy. I feel like Mercury's been in Pisces for a couple tax seasons, so it's not the end of the world, but it is just like having to rework that. But right, the piece of like any retrograde is often looking back into the past. And I do think like Mercury especially is like our mind going back to the past, and then Pisces is about like nostalgia of comfort, nostalgia of like our emotions and things that make us feel good and like kind of going back to that in
Yeah,
a
for sure.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it'll be a fun Mercury retrograde to have during the middle of eclipse season when Mercury is also going to rule the next eclipse. So that's great.
it will. I know.
Okay. So on the 27th, we have a couple aspects to stay, but we'll break them down because there's not anything else going on. So on this Friday, first, the sun is going to conjunct the North Node in Pisces, which is also kind of happening on the 26th, Thursday as well. Um, I think the main piece here is to keep in mind is that this will probably be a nice, again, indicator around what the eclipses are bringing up. We did not have a Pisces eclipse this go around this spring, but I mean, see it in my life where the Aquarius eclipse is related to the Pisces eclipse. Did you see that in your chart? I guess you haven't seen a lot with the eclipse yet.
Um, I feel like no, not yet.
Ugh.
Maybe eventually. I've seen it done two ways. Like I've seen the eclipse being related to um like the ruler of the eclipse Aquarius with Saturn, like speaking about that
Yeah.
in Aries. But I've also seen it like we did it and taking, the like it being ruled by what did we do? By
Or
Jupiter,
just
right?
yeah, or just like the fact that the node's in Pisces.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think like whenever we have like an out of sign eclipse like we had with the Aquarius with the node still back in Pisces, there's still a little bit of a story that's still happening in the Pisces area of your life too, around especially what you're gaining or increasing or wanting to step more into with the North Node there. And I just think this point right around this day, we'll get more information of like what the eclipses are bringing up and like maybe to what you're being called to do or work that you're being called to do within your Pisces house, maybe as it relates to the Aquarius house or just in general, like this is what this eclipse is pushing me to do. Like I see interactions with the nose as like faded events. So like just this faded moment in time where like, you know, it's really becoming clear that like oh, this is happening, or this is how my life is unfolding now.
Yeah, I think this will, like, if you haven't already, like, you asked me if we had already, I had already, like, gotten some information. I think, like, if you haven't gotten information about, like, the Pisces and Aquarius interaction, like, it will start to get louder as, like, the sun conjuncts the North Node here. So I do think that this is, like, a further development, like, more information coming in into how those two houses relate to each other, the Aquarius and the Pisces one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But on this day also, we do have Mars squaring Uranus. I've been like dreading this for the longest time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially because it like conjuncts my natal Mars too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just have not been excited about this one, but I think Mars squaring Uranus, we've already had like these squares to Uranus. You know, we had the eclipse in general with squaring Uranus, which was like destabilizing things. Like whatever information you got definitely like shook up parts of your life, whether it was in the Aquarian part of your chart or in the Taurus part of your chart. Um, Either way, you got some kind of information that felt like, whoa, this came out of like totally left field. Like I did not see this coming. So when Mars comes in here to square Uranus, I think we're feeling a little bit more of the pressure related to whatever that change was or that destabilization was, because Mars really calls us to take action in some way. And I think we might feel so destabilized or so like unsure, especially with this Mercury and Pisces, that we're not even really sure, like, what do we do at this moment? Like, I think Mars here is like, trying to maybe take the reins of the change and like lead the horse in like some kind of direction. But yeah, I think we're just challenged like directionally, like we had kind of talked about earlier. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like with the sun meeting the North Node again today, like there's definitely something significant that like this is definitely the eclipse point too, where Mars is at. There's something significant about this day as it relates to what the eclipse in Aquarius brought up. And yeah, Mars squaring Uranus, it is just like you're taking action in some way that is just chaotic, that is disruptive, that is like, shaking things up and destabilizing things further. But then like it is more potent because it's related to the eclipse, so it's like a bigger thing that's happening. So, yeah, it's a really kind of chaotic day. I think you could expect people to act too like unconventionally, like acting out of pocket or like doing things you normally wouldn't do. Um, and just experiencing that because Aquarius is still kind of a collective sign. So like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it either because I think the eclipse was so disrupting to me. I've just been like, oh great. So like what is Mars gonna do there now too?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you brought up a good point though. Like if we really like zoom out, I think like this could very much be like you know, people or individuals or something trying to fight for like social justice in some way because of the destabilization we feel like in the Taurus realms, like in our comfort, in our ability to like support ourselves, in our ability to feed ourselves. I think we're very much in this like recession period, which like I don't know if anybody I think like smaller creators have came out and said it, but I don't know if it's been like a major like headline in the news. Um,
Yeah.
but I think we're in like this recession-esque period, and we're all feeling like the strain of being able to support ourselves. So I think some things could definitely come to light with this, like fighting for that to change, or just like heated arguments or heated discussions or things like this.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, when the eclipse was there, the sun and moon are like our body and our awareness coming around aware to like what is actually changing, right? Or just like what is actually unstable in our life, like you're talking about. Like I do really think collectively it is a lot about that too. And then Mars comes and it's like, I need to fight this, or I need to make a change against this, or like I actually need to try and push back against it. And so
Hmm.
that is like this last piece is like before we move into the Virgo eclipse is like what can I do to confront this change in a way? What can I
Yeah.
do? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What like yeah, because Virgo's very much about like planning and like trying to clean up the mess with like the details. So
Yeah.
yeah, it could be like trying to like really like get in it and like get involved. Um, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But that will be a kind of spicy day. And then like but like simultaneously the same day, it's actually like later that evening, a little bit into the 28th, is then Mercury is gonna retrograde back to conjunct Venus in Pisces. So like that's sweet. That's great. Like I
Yeah.
mean it's not it's very interesting because it's like there's like actions causing disruptions or disruptions changing the course of action in your life, but like in a way where you feel like this is great, like this needs to happen, like this is actually a really cool idea. Like maybe this will take care of me, or this will support me, or like this will be the change that I needed. Like I don't know. There's like our mind is like, okay, but it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see that too, especially because like Venus is exalted. You know, we are all being asked to, because the North Node is in Pisces, we are all being asked to like embrace the unknown, embrace like this idea that like maybe we don't have all the answers, but things are moving together in a way that they're supposed to or like they're
Mhm.
destined to. And very much, you know, being asked to like let go of some of that Virgo energy, which is like this need to know, this need to plan, this need to have all the answers all the time. So I think maybe this, like you mentioned, might be a point where you know, Mercury and Venus conjunct where we are like, I'm actually okay not having everything I need. Like, I'm okay not knowing like 10 months down the line what's going to happen. I just know in this moment I need to make this change, which is going to be disruptive, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is kind of like a fuck it moment
Mm-hmm.
where yeah, you're like you're making this action or things are happening that are like really chaotic, but you're just like I need yeah, it's like this full trust fall into the
Mm-hmm.
universe, you know, where it's like fine, whatever, because nothing else has been working up to this point. Like let me do something out of pocket, out of, you know, normal
Right. Yeah,
ways. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cute. I think the first part of this Mercury retrograde is going to feel positive just because Venus is so close to it. But then that means that when Mercury continues to go retrograde, it's actually going to station direct near Mars. So
Oh yeah, because
they
Mars will
will
be in
be,
Pisces.
yeah, and I wonder if it will be like answering to those actions, like the consequences that we didn't think of or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think like Mars conjunct Uranus, you know, it's not just going to be like on this day. I think, you know, whatever change we do decide to make or direction we do decide to go in is kind of creating some like longer term um like strain or like change, you know, just this like big change that we have to answer to for like a little bit longer. Um
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah.
And then we like review it. At first, it's like we're making this big change, and it's like, this is great. Like, I am just doing it. Like, again, I'm just like kind of throwing it out there, and I'm just gonna lean into it. And I feel like I have support now. And then over the course of the Mercury retrograde, you're like, the consequences. Oh, like, this means that other things have to change. And like, actually, I want to redo this. Actually, I don't want this anymore, you know?
Right. And I think Pisces in general like hates consequences. Like I think it would love to be like everything always works out, but you know, like
Right.
hates that like having to answer to things. So, yeah, that could feel
Yeah,
like a bit of a struggle. It's kind of annoying that like Mars is like trailing behind everything. Like,
I know.
you know, like it's like we do all these things first and then it's like Mars comes up to be like, but was that really the right choice, you know?
I know. I always prefer it when Mars is ahead and everything sucks first, and then Venus is the last planet because then
Right? That's so
it's
much
like
better.
it's like a nice ending. But now it's like you're like blinded into thinking everything's gonna be okay, and then like it's
I
not
know.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Mars and Venus need to like switch positions. Yeah. Because Venus is like giving us those like rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, I know. So
Yeah.
whatever, we'll have to lean into it. But yeah, the mixed bag this week. Definitely pay attention to what comes up in terms of just like everything in your life and what's been happening with the eclipse. I think it will be important information. And then we'll be in March and then we'll have the next eclipse next week, I believe.
Yeah, we will. Woohoo.
Okay.
So, yeah, I hope it's a
Yeah.
good week ahead. I think it'll be like a nice start to the beginning. And then I think like towards the end, this Friday here, we're already starting to pick up a lot of energy again, like moving into that eclipse. So I would expect like a nice, easy start to the week, but for it to get a little bit more chaotic as it progresses.
Yeah, I agree. So,
Yeah.
want more content from us? We're on Instagram and TikTok at Two Girls Talk Transits and videos on YouTube at Two Girls Talk Transits. And we will see you all next week.
See you.
Bye.